Hey, it's Hiro. Today I want to talk about something pretty serious. The era where just saving money works is quietly ending, and especially after 2026, if you are trying to build assets, live frugally, or just protect your future self. I really wanted to hear this all the way to the end. It's not about the scaring you. It's about the knowing what's coming, so you can move before it hits. All right, let's get into the main topic. Overview: Six shocks after 2026 from around 2026 onward. Several things start to stack up. A new child-related levy that feel like a single tax to many people. Higher corporate taxes, the higher income taxes, and the stealth hikes social insurance. So retirement IDECO tax breaks quietly getting weaker, and the inflation and the cost of living rising faster than people realize. The risk that more people won't be able to handle their mortgage as interest rates move. So none of these alone is a failure, but together they make just to keep saving and everything will be fine. Very dangerous strategy. Let's walk through them one by one. Number one, the quasi single tax, child and child care support levy from 2025, from April 2026. Japan starts a new scheme, the Child and Child Care Support Fund. The child rearing is something society should support together. So let's create a new funding mechanism and have everyone chip in. Conceptually, I actually agree with the goal. Japan is aging. The birth rate is low. So if we don't support families and children, the country's strength collapses long term. So as a direction, child support itself, I'm very in favor. But the way they are doing, it is where things get messy. Who pays? So in short, almost everyone. So company employees, civil servants, and self-employed people, freelancers, anyone in the national health insurance system, people over 75 in the late elderly medical system. So pretty much the whole country is included. This is why online people have been calling it a single tax, even though technically it's not only singles who pay. Who pay? How much? An example estimate, quoting the original figures, annual income 2 million yen, around 350 per month, about 4,200 year per year. 4 million yen around 65 a month per month and 7,800 yen. And 6 million around 4,000 per month, around 12,000 per yen, and 10 million yen around 4,650 per month, around 19,800 per year. So the exact final numbers may move, but the idea is everyone's take-home pay shrinks a little, so we can collectively fund child rearing. Again, the goal is understandable, but where's the problem? The problem is the burden is on the very generation we need to have kids. So Japan is heading toward a super single society by 2030. So about 33% of men, about 25% of women are expected to be single. So by 2050, roughly half of all households are expected to be one person households. So yes, child policies are urgent. So what the funding is also taken from the very young people who are supposed to be having children in the future. It's like a self cannibalization divided the fund. So take money from future parents. So redistribute it as a support for parents. But because you are shrinking young people's disposal income, some of them will never become parents in the first place. And remember, around half of students, national public private universities, junior colleges, the vocational schools combined, rely on student loans. Why? Because many of their parents never had enough income growth and lived through a low wage and high tax, rising cost era. So a lot of young people graduate with 2 to 4 million yen in debt. Start working, told. Now please marry, have kids, and also pay extra child support levy, plus tax, plus higher social insurance. If you are in your 20s with a few million yen of student debt, low take home pay, and rising taxes, and a lot of people will think, I can't even protect my own life yet. How am I supposed to support a child? And so a scheme that's supposed to fight low birth rates risks killing their motivation to have kids among exactly the people we need most. So number two, higher corporate tax from 2026. Wage growth gets even harder. Next shock, corporate tax. From April 1st, 2026, a new tax comes in. Special defense corporate tax. An extra 4% surcharge on corporate tax payments. If a company is already paying more than 5 million yen in corporate tax, this extra 4% is tacked on top. So Japan already has multiple layers of corporate taxation. So national corporate tax, so local corporate tax, so corporate inhabitant tax, business tax, special business tax, at the different defense surcharge on top, and the effective tax rate rises by about 1 percentage point overall. So Japan's corporate tax burden is already relatively high. US is like 25 or 27%. China 20, Germany 29% or China 25%, and Singapore like 70%. Japan around 30 and 35%. When you stack everything. So in a world where companies are mobile and capital flows across borders, raising corporate taxes has side effects. So more firms think if we do business overseas, more of our profit survives. And that makes offshoring or shifting activity abroad more attractive. And when profit shrinks after tax, the first thing that gets squeezed is often wage increases and bonuses, the investment in new projects. So even if your company wants to raise salaries, the simple math says we have less profit left. We should save more inside the company. Wage hikes and the new investments get postponed. And remember, 99% of Japanese companies are SMEs. So about 70% of workers are employed by them. They are the ones who get hit directly. If tax price pressure rises, and many of them will hold internal reserves just in case. So get more conservative. So stop aggressive wage hikes. Result: your paycheck grows slower. So even as prices and other taxes rise. So number three, 2027, higher income tax, stealth hikes in social insurance. So next income tax itself from around 2027. The plan is add 1% to income tax to help cover growing defense spending. And there's been pushback, so details and timing can shift. But the direction is pretty clear. Income tax burden up. This means disposable income, take home pay goes down. And that's on top of things that have already been quietly rising. Health insurance premiums, so pension contributions, and long-term care insurance. And these go up little by little. The most people don't notice because the gross salary goes up a bit. The system is complicated. So you only really look at the next amount in your bank account. Meanwhile, the total social insurance burden keeps inflating with no clear cap. It's like a cancer. Instead of removing the tumor, so structure issues, policies just give you painkillers and slow their progression a bit, but never fix their root. Politically, it's also hard to reform deeply because many voters currently receive benefits. A party that seriously cuts or redesigns benefits risks massive backlash. So what we see instead is endless small hikes in social insurance. So extra tax surcharges are just for bio that then become semi-permanent. From the perspective of salary earners, actually paying these costs, if it feels like there's no end, every few years, something else eats away at my pay. And that directly makes saving and investing harder. So number four, iDeCo, IDECO, and retirement payouts rules quietly get worse from 2026. Let's talk about the iDeCo, Japan's individual defined contribution pension, and the popular tax advantage to retirement scheme. Originally, iDeCo had three big tax advantages. At the entrance, contributions are fully deductible from taxable income. The lower income tax, and resident tax. Then during resident tax and during growth, investment gains grow tax free like NISA. You avoid the usual 20.315% tax on gains. At withdrawal, you can receive it as a lump sum or annuity with retirement income deductions that heavily soften the tax bite. So this is very powerful. For example, with a long service, 20 years, retirement income deduction formulas mean someone receiving around 20 million yen in retirement lump sum might only pay about 850,000 yen in tax. That's extremely favorable compared to normal income. So far, so good. So what changes? From January 1st, 2026, tweak hits the withdrawal side. Until now, if you received a company retirement lump sum, waited 5 years, then received iDeCo, IDECO as a lump sum. So you could essentially use the retirement income deduction twice. This is the 5-year rule. Now that the waiting period becomes 10 years, 10-year rule. So retirement lump sum plus iDeCo lump sum separated by 5 years used to be a tax efficient. After the change, you need 10 years gap to get the full double benefit. Who is the most affected? People at the big companies with the large retirement payouts. Those who also saved aggressively in iDeCo. For many small, mid-sized company employees or people with little to no corporate retirement benefit, the impact is smaller. iDeCo is still helpful as a way to fill in the gap. The deeper concern is this. If rules were changed once, what stops them from changing again? For example, the formulas for retirement income deduction could be tightened. The thresholds or brackets could be shifted. So even though iDeCo is still a powerful tax tool, the fact that the government can rewrite the rules later plants seeded out. I'm locking my money away for decades. What if the rules get harsher again exactly when I retire? That uncertainty itself is a part of the end of the safe savings era. So number five, inflation. The quite killer of savings. Now they are part many of you already feel in your daily life. Prices, groceries, utilities, eating out, everything feels more expensive. That's not just in your head. Japan, low food self-sufficiency, low energy self-sufficiency, the aging population and labor shortages, and 30 years of pent-up deflation. All of that creates stronger underlying inflation pressure. The recent data among G7 countries showed Japan's inflation rate around 2.8%. US is like 2.6 to 2.9%. UK is like 2.5%. Germany 2.3%. Italy 2%. Canada 2%. France 1.8%. In other words, Japan, long known as the deflation country, suddenly has the highest inflation in the G7. No wonder your trips to the supermarket feel painful. On top of that, the government is handing out subsidies like for gasoline, extending them again and again. For example, since January 2020, and the fuel subsidies have been in place. Without them, a liter of regular gasoline would be roughly 10 yen more right now. And behind their scenes, there's a big normal GDP goal. 2024 nominal GDP about 617 trillion yen. A target for around 2040, 1,000 trillion yen. The average income 1.5 multiplied current level. So sounds fantastic until you see the trick. The 2% inflation every year and the prices double in about 35 years. So at 3%, they double in about 23.5 years or something. So if prices double, nominal GDP also doubles. So even without real improvement in productivity or living standards, so country can hit their target partly by keeping inflation going through fiscal spending. So subsidies, various stimulus policies. But for us as individuals, that means cash sitting in the bank is silently tossing purchasing power every year. If inflation is 2 or 3%, your savings earn almost 0%. So you are effectively losing 2 to 3% per year in real terms. That's why I say the era where just saving is enough is ending. So number six, mortgage stress, rising rates and variable loans. Lastly, the thing that can crush household fastest, housing loans. Japan has lived in a world of zero interest rates, even negative policy rates, very low mortgage rates for a long time. So most people have been told variable rate is fine. Japan's interest rates won't rise. And many listened, roughly 70 and 80% of home loans in Japan are variable. But now, negative interest rate policy is gone. So policy rate has already nudged up to around 0.5%. Inflation is clearly above zero. If inflation persists, the central bank is under pressure to raise rates further over time to cool it down. So that directly hits variable mortgage borrowers. So anyone stretched to their max with their housing budget, it's unlikely they'll suddenly jack rates by several percent overnight. That will blow up their system. But even so, steady increases feel like a rope gradually tightening around your neck, and if your budget is already tight, if your income barely grows, taxes and social insurance go up, child support levy kicks in, and your mortgage payment rises too. And then saving and investing becomes almost impossible. 8 to 10 multiply your annual income. is considering fixed rate or at least partially fixed. Doing early repayments, if your rate is still low and you have surplus cash. Think about cheaper properties and second-hand homes or some smaller units. If you already have a variable loan, it's worth running simulations. What happens to my monthly payment if rates rise by 0.5% or 1% or 1.5%? Better to look that reality in their face rather than be forced to later. So, what do we do? My answer: own inflation resistant assets. After all that, you might be thinking, okay, Hiro, you've scared me enough. So, what I'm supposed to do? My answer is simple, and honestly, it's the only strategy I'm personally focused on. Own assets that strong against inflation. For me, that means mainly three categories: stocks, equities, and gold, the Bitcoin. Why these three? Number one, the stocks represent ownership in real businesses. As the prices rise and the normal sales increase, stock prices and tend to rise over the long term. You can buy them via low cost index funds and the ETFs. In Japan, I personally like to use a low cost broker, think SBI style, that offers good index funds. Work with the NISA, NISA, gives points back while you invest. So number two, gold has been a store of the value for thousands of years. So it doesn't depend on any one government's promise. So tends to shine when people distract currencies or inflation accelerates. So you can buy physical billion beer, major bullion dealer like the Tanaka type shops in Japan. So I use gold savings plans that let you buy from small amounts. It's not about the worshipping gold. It's about having something real that isn't just a number in a bank account. Number three, Bitcoin. This one is controversial, I know, but it has a fixed supply. It's designed to be resistant to debasement. So over a long time, it has historically acted as a kind of digital hard asset. In Japan, there are exchanges like Bitcoin type platform that have a relatively strong security, and are both spot buying and order book trading. Charge low, charge lower fees than many rivals. So if you are curious, you don't have to go in. Even small regular purchases can act as an option on the future. So how much to shift from savings? I'm not saying take 100% of your savings, dump it into the risky assets and pray. That's reckless. What I'm saying is keeping everything in low interest cash and deposits. In the world of persistent inflation and rising taxes is extremely dangerous over multiple decades, even moving. So 10 to 20% of what you normally just save. So it's a mix of stocks and gold and Bitcoin in can dramatically change what your future looks like. So the key isn't to be perfect. The key is to start. For stocks, start with the simple global US index fund via low fee broker. For gold, start with the small automatic savings plan or buy a tiny bar or coin. So for Bitcoin, learn how it works and then start with the tiny amounts you can hold for years. All three can be started with the separately low amounts. Stocks a few hundred yen per month via index funds. Gold a few thousand yen per month, and Bitcoin also from a few hundred yen level. It's not about the amount; it's about the building the habit of owning real assets instead of just watching your savings slowly be eaten by inflation and higher taxes. To wrap up, so to recap the big picture after 2026, new child and child care levy shrinks take home pay. So higher corporate tax makes wage growth harder. Higher income tax and stealth hikes in social insurance hit salary earners. So iDeCo rules quietly change the weakening tax benefits at the withdrawal. So inflation accelerates and quietly erodes bank savings. So mortgage stress grows as rates slowly rise, while many are on variable loans. So put together, these trends mean the era where you can rely only on saving cash is coming to an end. The only realistic response is spend consciously, save what you can, and move part of your savings into inflation-resistant assets, stocks, gold, Bitcoin, whatever mix you can understand and stick with. And if you want to keep exploring this money and the future of Japan topics, so hit subscribe and stick around and let's navigate the messy era together. Thanks for listening today. Also, see you in the next one. Thank you. Bye bye.